Just making sure. Yeah.
Button.
The white button? Yeah.
Hello? Hello, this is Barbara Sagaski.
Secretary, the governor's stepping in right now.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order today's meeting of the State of Nevada Board of Prison Commissioners for Tuesday, August 30th, 2022. Could I ask the clerk to take the roll, please?
Governor Sisolak,
Here.
Secretary Sagavsky,
Here?
Attorney General Ford. Governor, I understand he will not be here today, but we do have a quorum.
He's not going to attend the meeting at all today?
I was made aware by his office he would not be here,
Okay.
but we do have a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 2, public comment. This is the first time set aside for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board on any item on today's agenda, items on the agenda, please step forward, identify yourself for the record, and comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have anybody? If you want to make a line down the row here, that'd be great. I'm going to start with comments in Carson City first, and then I'll go to Las Vegas, okay? You can sit down, push the button. Secretary, you're on the phone, right?
That's correct, sir.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Denise Bolaños, D-E.
Okay, if you could speak directly into the microphone, everybody will be able to hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Denise Bolaños, D-E-N-I-S-E B-O-L-A-N-O-S. I'm a member of Return Strong. I took a vacation day from my morning job to be here today because if we, the friends and families of incarcerated people, do not stand up for both them and ourselves, then no one will do it for us. No one bats an eye about anything that goes on behind the walls. It could be that others aren't aware because truthfully, if you're not living with the weight of incarceration, you wouldn't need to be aware. It could be some simply don't care, or it could be that mail doesn't seem important in the grand scheme of things. And that is precisely why it's important. It's more than mail for us. It's a lifeline. We ask no action be taken today on AR 750. The people housed within NDOC are there because they have been convicted of a crime. Whether or not they are guilty, that is the bottom line. By imposing these revisions, with the rationale of eliminating drugs coming into the facilities, you're effectively branding us as criminals as well, making us guilty by association. What is simply a mail revision to you is one more thing lost for us. It means a child can no longer draw a colorful picture for her mom of her favorite toy. It means yearly Christmas cards from an aunt to her only nephew are gone. It means that my quick I love you doodled on the outside of the envelope right before I send it to my husband is gone. All of those things now discarded as unauthorized or rejected mail. When I asked my husband what his thoughts were on the revision, he let out a long defeated sigh and he said, "They take everything. They always take everything that makes us feel human. Anything we have left and anything good, the concrete ties to our families, the things that feed our soul and give us hope and add to our sense of humanity. They take it all." I read a quote in a faith-based article that said, "For those subjected to the hell of incarceration, receiving a piece of mail can feel sacramental, a tactile reminder of the presence of loved ones and hope beyond the present reality. We should be strengthening ties with families and communities, not further severing them." Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker. It's on. No, the little red ring is on. That means, go ahead.
My name is Karen Gedney, and I was the senior physician for the Department of Corrections for 30 years. I was placed at NNCC in 1987 by the National Health Service Corps to do 4 years in an area that was considered health manpower shortage and was under significant lawsuits for not giving appropriate medical care. I stayed 30 years, and when I retired, I decided that one of the things that I would do is be an advocate for prison reform. I'm here today to advise the Commission not to support the revision of AR 715, which would create more restrictions on the mail families could send to their loved ones in prison. I have seen for decades on the inside of the prison system the positive emotional impact a birthday card or a drawing from a child can have on the incarcerated, which gives them connection, hope, and the feeling that they are not forgotten. I know the prison system thinks restricting more mail will decrease the potential for drugs that come into the prison. But I want the Commission to step back and look at it this way. If there is a demand for drugs, it will come in another way. And many times that means that staff will bring it in or enable it to come in. If you want demand for drugs to go down, do not make someone's life behind bars more miserable and disconnected from their family than it already is. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, I'm Heather Koppler, and I'm asking the Board of Prisons Commissioners to take no action on the revision of AR 750 today. My incarcerated loved one has had a series of strokes this August. With this revision to AR 750, I and other family and friends are not able to send greeting cards and colorful get well notes at a time when this would be greatly appreciated and inspirational. This is how I show my love and support for them. My loved one needs to know how much I care during this healthcare crisis. Limiting mail to blue or black ink, white paper, and number 10 envelopes greatly cuts down on the way to express our feelings, thoughts, and ideas. To families with small children who may only be able to draw a simple picture, this is terribly wrong. Please allow friends and families to continue sending colorful mail and cards with the former regulation. Again, I ask, do not take action on the revision of AR 750. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Nicole Williams. I am an activist with Return Strong. It would be easy for me to tell you about the impact my loved one's incarceration has on our family, on our daughter, and the challenges to maintain our family's bonds through letters and pictures and photos and across the visiting room table. But in the end, I don't believe this is what you need to hear to make this decision. So I'm going to focus on evidence-based information, data, and numbers, because I believe this is what you need to know. But don't forget, behind that, there are people and families and children. There are marriages and new romances and friendships that are all trying to find ways to maintain and even grow and thrive. I attended the quarterly meeting that is held between NDOC and Return Strong and the ACLU, and we asked why this revision to the mail policy. Why take away greeting cards and internet printouts in color? We knew the answer would be to limit drugs entering the facilities, and we acknowledge that some drugs enter that way, but we all know that is not the bulk of drugs entering the facilities. According to the Vera Institute, who you are familiar with, since they have worked directly with Nevada in the past, Ostensibly, the rule changes are meant to prevent contraband from entering prisons, though there's little evidence to support the evasive approach which amounts to collective punishment. In Florida, for example, of the 3.1 million contraband items that enter the prison system from January 2019 to April 2021, only about 1% came in through the mail. Texas prisons stopped in-person visits and limited mail, but that didn't stop drugs from getting in. Reports confirm that most often it's staff, not drug-soaked papers, that bring contraband into facilities. The state claims the need for evidence-based practices, but a quick search will show that evidence doesn't support these changes. We are only asking for one thing: pause and give thoughtful consideration to these changes before they are implemented. Ask questions and review data and research before you implement it. Don't take action today. I want to make one final ask that is unrelated. Governor Sisolak, you are on record talking about how much you care about Nevada families, and I believe you. I have seen you stand up for us before, 2 years ago. Whatever the reason is, Nevada prison families are struggling in this economy. I work full-time, I don't get assistance, but our incarcerated loved ones have to be cared for. We travel to get to visits and keep minutes on our phone. The state making a profit off of us at this time in this economy is too much. We know you have the power to provide us relief today, and that was our initial asking for you to help us. Reduce or eliminate the markups on commissary packages and vending machines until this works its way through the legislature. We need relief today. By June, some of us will lose our housing and being made silent sacrifices that are just too much. 2 things today, Governor. Please don't take action on AR 750 revision, and please end or cap the markups and provide us some relief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Governor. Good morning, board members, and thank you for hearing us. I am Dr. Susan Chandler. I served on the faculty of the University of Nevada, Reno for 25 years, where I researched, among other things, issues of incarceration. More important to this morning's deliberation, I taught history, literature, and creative writing at the Northern Nevada Correctional Center for 6 years before COVID closed the prisons to volunteers. I am a founder of the Nevada Prison Education Project, a wonderful group that works hard with NDOC and the Nevada System of Higher Education to bring credit-bearing, degree-leading courses into Nevada prisons. I am here to urge you to take no action on AR 750. On a weekly basis, I worked with men in my classes who were struggling hard to keep their souls alive in a very difficult situation. And the most important, by far the most important asset in doing that was their connection with their families and especially their children. They wanted to show the children that they could learn, they could discuss, that there was something important and reliable in their parenthood and in their souls. A second thing that was very important to them was the chance to use their brains to discuss with others in a classroom issues of consequence. And these 2 things, the connection with family, connection with children, and the possibility of learning in a classroom, learning serious subjects, are so important, are so important. They serve the men, they serve the families, especially the children. And they also, I am confident, serve the prisons and our society, because we want people returning strong from prison. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
I want to add thank you to Governor for your support of education. I know I saw you at the College of Southern Nevada graduation, where I was with our wonderful friend and mentor, Keisha Westbrooks, who has just shown what people coming out of prison can do.
You've reached 3
Thank you.
minutes.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, Governor Sisolak.
Morning.
My name is Kira Christine. My husband and I and our children met you before his incarceration. He is an amazing man and husband who fought hard to rebuild his life after fighting his addiction. Unfortunately, he had one last price to pay for choices made before he began his journey with recovering from addiction. I want to talk to you about two things today. First, the struggle to be left as a sole provider of our children and our entire family, including him. I would like you to know, since my husband has been away, I've become a certified recovery support specialist, a community health worker, obtained employment with my new career, received my certification for smart recovery, seeking safety, and RAP. I will soon be starting college to obtain my bachelor's in social work. But when I found out that the state is making a profit off of families, and that since February that was announced in the audit, nothing has been done to provide relief, rips me apart at times. I believe in you, Governor Sisolak, and your faith and your heart. I look you in the eyes today and I have trust within you. Please don't just hear the words and reports. Please do something to help us. The pandemic and the economy, everything hits prison families differently. Ask us, give us space to really talk to you, and you will hear more than a 2-minute sound bit. You will hear the truth and our reality. Please provide relief from the markups, and a lot of families don't really understand how that impacts them, and so they won't stand up, but we do, and we are asking you not to wait for the legislature session. We are asking for help now. The second thing I want to ask you is not to take action on AR 750 today, not yet, maybe not ever, but definitely not today. This entire mail debate has had me struggling to be objective. My husband and I are both in recovery, and he has talked to me about the amount of drugs in the prison, and we agree something has to be done, but at the same time that we say that, we underpay and undervalue the work that correction officers do, and we do nothing to invest in wellness of the people who are incarcerated. My husband started his own NA program in the trustee program because there is nothing there. It's a human warehouse. Families and communities are also victims of incarceration, but the hidden victims are the children of incarcerated parents. Research indicates that 45% of children of incarcerated parents communicate only via mail service and do so on a weekly basis due to the inability to travel to visitations. As we learned with COVID, visitation can be significantly altered quite quickly without notice. Making mail correspondence is the only way to consistently remain in contact. The imposed policy changes will significantly decrease parent-child contact, with large amounts of mail being sent back to the community due to things like pictures being drawn by children who in most cases cannot write in blue or black ink. Children do not communicate the way that adults do and do not have the emotional or cognitive processing to understand the limitations.
That's 3 minutes.
Could I ask you to wrap it up?
Yes. Children do not communicate the way that adults do and do not have the emotional and cognitive processing to understand the limitations placed on their communication. Please have discussion and do not take action on this AR change until this has been vetted out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Nevaeh Jackson, and I'm an activist with Return Strong, but more importantly, I'm the daughter of someone incarcerated. Please do not take action on the revision of AR 750. Letters, cards, and drawings and pictures are a huge way to keep our loved ones connected to us. Phone calls and visits are big too, but with the 66% markups in commissionary, make phone calls and visits hard to afford. Governor Sisolak, please put a stay on markups. How does it make you feel when you receive mail from someone you don't get to see often? It feels great, doesn't it? Now imagine getting only photocopies of all that mail. It's not the same, is it? There is no real reason why these changes need to happen. The only thing that is going to change is the mental health decline in our loved ones. Please take no action on the revision of AR 750. We have a petition signed over 1,000 people. May I hand it to you?
Yeah, no, you can, yeah, sure. A clerk here? I don't. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. My name
morning.
is Desiree. I'm with Desiree Miller. I'm with Return Strong. I'll make this quick. Please don't take action on AR 750. It's a huge mistake. Our loved ones look forward to these things. Our kids look forward to sending them to them. My daughter sends my husband mail all the time, and now those cards can't be sent if this passes. Also, the markups need to stop too. You have the power, please take it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. My name is Lisa Foley. I'm not a family member of anyone incarcerated, but I'm here because AR 870 will do such harm that I felt compelled to come in person and speak. I'm not sure if it's a civil rights violation to the families or to the incarcerated. I'm not an attorney, but I do know that it is terrible timing. The emotional harm the inmates experienced and the families of the inmates during and after COVID's long period has been harmful, and we shouldn't be looking for anything other than trying to do rehab and repair lost souls following this traumatization. I know that there's a terrible challenge with staffing shortages in the prisons, and it's so difficult for the prisoners to get released for basic things like showers and outdoor time. But this would be a very, very poor time to slap them, the families as well as the incarcerated, in the face and say, we're going to restrict your mail, even when this is a time that mail can be so healing, and it's one of the few threads you have that doesn't really involve much staff to have a smooth system of mail coming in. And as others spoke, as Dr. Karen Gedney mentioned, this is not an issue that's going to stop any paraphernalia from coming in to the system. It's just a tiny drop in the bucket. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in Carson City wishing to make public comment? And I'm going to move down to Las Vegas. Okay, I'm going to close the public comment up here. In Las Vegas, do we have anyone for public comment?
Yes, we do, Governor.
Okay, one at a time. Could they come up to the table?
Hello, Mr. Governor. My name is Melissa Duna. I'm here to talk about not banning AR 750. Why should you consider not passing the ban? Greeting cards and colored pictures and etc. items, including legal documents printed that our loved ones need. I believe it's not fair. I believe NODC understands the effect this has on inmates and their families. I know from my own experiences with my son being incarcerated last year for the first time. He was sentenced to prison when his first birthday came. I wasn't sure if I should send him a card, not knowing how he would feel by receiving it, first time being away from all his loved ones at home. I sent one along with his 2 nieces and nephew. That was last year of 2021. He has never received any of his greeting cards or mail. The kids would love to draw pictures, but they know colored pictures ain't acceptable. So we stopped sending mail and switched to core links, electric messaging, since he never does receive his mail from NODC. I think it should be addressed and known that the mail is inspected before it is delivered to the inmates. And why should the families be caused to be considered that it is causing drugs into the jail? There was COVID, and nobody was allowed in the prison or the jails, but yet drugs still seem to get in. I have faced very horrific and chilling events and it has caused my family great, great pain every day with the ongoings of NOGC. And it is my pleasure to sit here today before you and the board of this prison because I have so much questions and answers that we need to be fulfilled. And every one of us family members and every loved one deserves to know, really, the going on in NDOC. I have contacted many public officials, AGs. I have went to organizations, and I'm grateful, and I thank you, Return Strong, for letting me sit here and voice my opinion. My son is inmate number 1244730, and he was sexually assaulted, and he is constantly in segregation, and he is suffering in fear for his life. He does not eat, Governor. He only relies on commissary to eat. Every day it is a struggle. I have mail, I have letters, and I am tired.
You've reached 3
and
minutes.
I am sick, and I need answers.
That's 3
Help
minutes.
the families. Thank you. No.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you, Board, and thank you, Governor Sisolak, for taking the time. My name is Rose McKay, and I'm here with Return Strong to ask you to please respectfully stop the action to revise anything in AR 750, such as the greeting cards. This will bring great harm to the family members that are in your institutions. They're in there for the purpose to repay their debt to society. This will bring great harm to the family members trying to keep hope in the hearts and minds for those that are in your institutions. The words and pictures on the greeting cards give our family members a ray of hope, a memory of days gone by, memories that they want to come home to. Reading a card from a family member can mean turning away from the cliff edge or jumping off of it. This is a very dire situation for some that are incarcerated. Don't take away the greeting cards. And the handwritten color pictures from their children. This is so vital to children. Children are only able to communicate and express their feelings in the drawings they send. The vibrant colors tell the story that they are feeling, and their loved ones incarcerated can see the pictures and take great pride in what they do. If you stop this is very detrimental to the well-being of the children, not only those incarcerated, but the children. This is their only way of communicating with their family members. Don't take away the children's communication with their loved ones. And then printed materials. There's all kinds of printed materials, publications for education, knowledge, for faith, hope, and peace. The words by the prophet that encourage the spirit and not kill the spirit. The legal material that is kept from the incarcerated. I know from experience that my loved one does not get the legal documents that are mailed to him. I don't know where they go. If it wasn't for me stepping in and doing it, he would not know what's going on in the courts. This has got to stop. They ask for the material. They beg for the material with rejection after rejection. You have to keep this material going for the legal aspect of them knowing what is entitled to them. Don't take away the important information that is needed for them. In closing, many have found our loved ones either entering the system with mental issues.
You've reached 3 minutes.
Time?
Yes, that's 3
Can I
minutes.
ask you just to wrap it up? You've got another 5 or 10 seconds, so wrap it up.
Thank you. I'm just saying, we are here to help. Let us help you. We know what to do. We are educated people. We have experts in the fields also. please do not take action on AR 750 today or ever. It is too dire for the well-being of our loved ones. Thank you for listening, Governor. Thank you, Board, for listening.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Faith Adkisson, Faithadkisson. I want to start out by acknowledging Governor Sisolak's efforts for prison reform, starting with AB 236, which passed in 2019. Thank you, Governor. My family and I support your re-election efforts and look forward to working with you in the future to address problems that we have identified. Secondly, I want to preserve our objection to the adoption of the administrative regulations that are before the board today on the grounds that this board has not compiled with the requirements of the Administrative Procedures Act. This board is not exempt from 233B requirements. Last but certainly not least, we want to point out to the board that AR 521 is not being applied in a manner that is consistent with the enabling statute, where NDOC continues to prevent offenders from participation in minimum custody programs and activities solely because of a unilateral decision, making this process also in excess of the enabling statute. We have submitted supporting materials of that detail this issue. We look forward to seeing you for the next 4 years, Governor. Thank you and have a wonderful day. This is presented on the behalf of Patricia and Michael Adkisson.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Good morning, Governor Sisolak. My name is Jody Hocking. I'm the founder and executive director of Return Strong. And I really just have I feel like our families have really made the bulk of the points. I did want to just say a couple of things. That one, like, we're appreciative of the space to see democracy really in action. And people that are here today giving comments have taken time off of work and found babysitters that they're paying for out of pocket in a multitude of different ways. And I'm going to just stay. It's a little strange, the dynamic here today, without you or one of the board members here, because there's note passing and people nodding off and eye rolling back and forth between each people. And it is super disrespectful to the families and the people who have come here to speak today. And so I didn't plan on saying that, but I feel like it needs to be addressed. Really, all I wanted to say was to reinforce what families have already said. We're creating policies over things that are not evidence-based or proven. Staff, there are multiple people in this room have acknowledged the fact that they know that the revisions to AR 750 are not what reduce that. They have said that it is something bigger and they could go further, and that they were trying to be like middle ground and nice to families, but you can't be nice by implementing something that restricts our communication without it actually even working. Then what is the point? The other thing is about the markups. We need your help with the markups. Legislation has already started through the interim committee and we'll be moving to the floor on that. And we're asking for relief in the meantime. And you've been able to stand up and kind of be a champion in that during the restitution deductions. And that audit came out in February and nothing has happened and we're all still drowning. So basically it comes down to two things. We're asking you to do something that is in your power and control to do, which is to provide relief around the markups. And then we're asking you to not do something, which is to not take action on the revisions to AR 750. Thank you.
Thank you, and I want to acknowledge that Secretary Sagaski is on the phone, and I will guarantee you she's paying attention. I can only be in one of two places. I've got dozens of families up here in Carson City as well that, I'm trying to accommodate, and I can't be there. And usually I do have the meetings when I'm in Las Vegas, but please know that the board members, two of us are here today, and General Ford is excused from the meeting, and we are listening intently to all the comments.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Holly Murphy, and I'm here today to ask that you do not take action on the revision of AR 750. I understand that your purpose here today is to prescribe regulations for carrying on the business of the board and the department. I strongly believe that the proposed revisions of AR 750 are not necessary in fulfilling your duties and purpose as the Board of Prison Commissioners. I drove 6 hours today to speak to you, and believe me, I would not have done that if I didn't wholeheartedly believe that passing AR 750 is going to be a huge mistake. I am aware that there is a serious problems with drugs entering prison. I am also certain that the root of this problem does not come through letters from loved ones. Banning inmate mail takes away birthday cards, it takes away drawings from children, it takes away the little bit of physical family that these inmates have left. I have yet to see the studies that show that passing AR 750 in the state of Nevada is going to stop the drug problem. And I don't think it's fair for AR 750 to be passed today before that research has been conducted and proven. What I have seen is the results that have come from mail bans in states like Texas. The Texas state prison system passed a mail ban in 2020 very similar to the proposed revisions of AR 750. The drug problem did not stop with this ban, so they further passed a ban against in-person visitation. After completely isolating these inmates from their loved ones, the drug problem continued. It has been proven by reports time and time again that the drug problem does not stem from loved ones' mail, it most often enters through staff. Now I'm asking that you take more time researching and better determining the root of this problem before passing a regulation such as AR 750. These restrictions will result in declines in mental health, the well-being of the incarcerated, and on the rehabilitation process as a whole. There are better ways to improve the NDOC drug problem that do not negatively affect those incarcerated and their loved ones. Please do not take action on the revision of AR 750. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good morning. My name is Sabrina Torres. I am a founding member of a local print company here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm also an advocate for Return Strong. I found numerous articles on prison mail restrictions in different states throughout the United States, and there is minimal, if any, compelling evidence that strict mail restrictions will reduce the amount of contraband that is brought into any given facility. The Legislative Finance Committee in New Mexico did an in-depth report on restrictions imposed on personal mail for inmates. And according to their findings, there was no evidence to support that restrictions on mail have decreased drugs being smuggled into their facilities. The report actually shows that the rate of positive drug tests rose from 2% to 3.7%. New Mexico is not the only state that has not had much success in trying to limit contraband being found in their facilities after implementing strict mail restrictions. Pennsylvania was one of the first states to implement scanning personal mail, and the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections found that 0.7% of incoming prisoner mail was tainted with drugs in August of 2018. This was before implementing their program. Since implementing their program, the rate as of July 2019 was 0.6%. This begs the question, if research is being done and contraband is still getting into facilities, what is the basis of this mail restriction? Please do research and please do not take action on AR 750 today. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hello, good morning, members of the board and governor. My name is Mark Betancourt. I'm here this morning as a board member of Return Strong. I'm also here as the campaign director for the Nevada Coalition Against the Death Penalty and as a son of two formerly incarcerated parents. I will keep this brief. We are here today to not only present our personal stories and the impact that AR 750 would have and the trauma it would force these families and for the incarcerated individuals to go through, but we are also presenting substantial evidence as to why AR 750 does not make sense and why this policy will not produce the desired results that we are all seeking. We can all agree that we have the safety and security and the well-being of not only incarcerated folks, but correctional officers and staff in these prisons and jails. We want that just as much as you all do. But we also know that, and what we've seen and what we've just heard is that this is not going to actually produce those results. And so we are here asking you not to ban colored drawings from children so that parents can look over them. We are asking you to consider this and to make a data and evidence-based decision around this policy. And obviously the rest of the arguments that we've expressed today, I will spare you reiterating them, but please, we humbly urge you and plead for you not to pass and not to take action today on AR 750. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Governor. Good morning, Board. My name is Chris Cavello. I will not go over all the other details that have been expressed here several times this morning, but I do want to point out a couple things. Some other states have introduced similar mail policies, only to find that they're ineffective. Courts have already called out these mail practices in Portland, Oregon, and Santa Clara County, California. Barriers to communication via the mail is dehumanizing and causes greater hardship for incarcerated individuals as well as our communities. The Department of Corrections should be encouraging family and community contact as part of our public safety and the humane treatment of those that are incarcerated. I would have read the whole letter that I wrote here, but I do want to reiterate to you, Governor, what Jody Hawking brought up, because I felt the same way. I felt horrible when Miss Duna was up here pouring her heart out for her emotional trauma, what she and her family are going through. And I did witness the same thing that Miss Hawking did. I think it's very disrespectful. As humans, we need to listen and we need to pay attention to what some of these families are saying, because it is very hurtful. It's hard for us to go through. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Governor. We look forward to your re-election and seeing you at more Aces games. Thank you.
Boy, the Aces got a commercial in this. Okay. I am a fan, I have to admit it. Any other public comment in Las Vegas?
Hello, my name is Sonia Williams, and as the shirt represents, I'm with Return Strong. For the 5 years that Eric was alive in your prison system, just about every time he called, Eric would ask Jacelyn, our daughter, to write him a letter. But anybody who has ever had before school age children can agree that Eric was asking for Jacelyn to draw him a picture. Very young children are only able to express themselves on paper by picking that perfect color to color the brightest sun or the prettiest flower. The only way Eric knew how Jacelyn's day was because of the colors she used. He watched her grow through her artworks. Jason self-created portraits of her all dressed up on her first day of school, or when she lost her first tooth. When I retrieved Eric's property from High Desert after he had died, as my daughter and I went through it, whoever had packed up Eric's cell kept Eric's collage of Jacelyn's artwork and photos from his wall together, gently folded it as to not destroy what Eric had created. When Jacelyn pulled out the bundle, she looked at me and said, "Mama, look, my daddy loved me most out of everybody. Look at all my pictures he had." And she was happy for just that few minutes. Sorry. I think about Eric's last few moments alive, taking his last breath. I guarantee you he was looking at that collage of color photos taken or created by his little girl. And now NDOC wants to take those moments away from families, from the children of the incarcerated. This change is too important to make on a rush decision. NDOC may have planned for this for 2 years. We know it was in process for a year and a half ago, and then the implementation stopped. They should have brought it to the table for public comment before now. They already began implementing it in August before public comment and before the BOPC heard it. That is wrong. Please do not take action today. We know all we can do is give feedback on it, but there are a lot of people who are upset and stressed and angry and confused about these changes. Not just what the change it is, but how it will change things, and how it will be put into practice. Please do not take action until NDOC is able to clearly communicate regarding the policy and answer the questions that people have, because right now they are unprepared to do so.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Okay.
Mercedes Maharis, for the record. Good morning, commissioners. It's good to see you again, and I'm not going to replay everything about the mail ban and confiscation. They've said it beautifully, and we support this not going forward, please. In addition, we have other issues on the agenda coming up, and I wanted to make sure that medical is number one. I have some pictures that I hope that you received, Governor, about the expired food being served, 2010, expiration on pretzels being served in July. There's millions of dollars, of course, as we know, going through the budget. And I'd like to know why we have to have improper clothing for our prisoners. It's terrible for getting around to wear these shoes. That a man wrote us and said, I tried to get boots to shovel snow at Ely, but the officer said, sorry, you're blah, 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 out of luck. So let's take some of those millions of dollars and please put decent clothing on people. It's a miracle that he didn't get frostbite. More medical problems that we don't need, especially since it seems that everything leads to court. All roads lead to court if we want to get anything changed. And that's so sad and wrong. Please. Now, this person is in federal court right now, and the medical treatment that he did not receive, well, I'm surprised he hasn't committed suicide. I don't know what to say about it other than it's inhuman. And I know that your heart is open to humanity in general. So please, let's do better with medical, or we can send our prisoners home under house arrest, put electronic monitoring on them so that they can at least have a chance and they can be respected. As far as mental health, yes, we would all have mental health problems if we had to deal with this daily and not have peroxide, bandages, and have to beg for them. I know that your heart is open about this. Please help us.
You've reached 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Please, peace for all.
Do we have anyone else? Okay.
Yes. Good morning. My name is Frederick von Seidowitz. It is a pleasure to see you again, Governor, and Director, it is a pleasure to see you again. If you don't remember, I met you both at graduations for Hope for Prisoners. I won't reiterate what Return Strong has said here. They've said it very well. I will point out, though, that time and time and time again, the United States Supreme Court has struck down a ban on the internet. They have said, and I quote, "The internet is synonymous with information. It is impossible to live without it." And I dare say not one of you can say otherwise to that. It is the only way they get information about case law. And in a lot of ways, it's the only information they get at all in there. And yet you want to put a ban on it. It's in there. I mean, you can shrug your eyes if you like, but I'd be happy to read to you where it's in there.
If you're speaking, we can't hear you because you're muted.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
Yeah, no one shrugged their eyes either.
Okay. G, publications, page 8. Pamphlets and anything copied off the internet will be rejected with the exception of pamphlets received through religious services. Anything off the internet will be rejected. Why? Okay. I would dare say you all know John Ponder. He sat at this table, the CEO of Hope for Prisoners. When you write Hope for Prisoners, as a prisoner, of which I was one for a decade, they send back a pamphlet of information to you. With you now banning or wanting to ban pamphlets, I dare say that information is no longer available to them. All right. The Colorado prison system tried to ban the internet. It got reversed. Texas tried to ban the internet. It got reversed. All right? The funny thing is, this is a picture of the Encyclopedia Britannica on a town in Switzerland. I can't send that to anybody. But I can actually take the Encyclopedia Britannica and make a photocopy of the page it's on and send it to them.
You've reached 3 minutes.
Thank you. I won't go on any further. I'm happy to talk with anybody if they'd like to. But the fact remains, what you're doing is wrong. The AR 750 regarding inmate communications is 13 pages long. The AR that
Thank you
ensures
for your
that...
comments. Anyone else wishing to speak during public comment in Las Vegas?
Governor, it looks like no one is stepping up.
Okay, one more time. Anybody in Carson City change their mind that hasn't spoken, wishing to speak? No. Okay, I'm going to close public comment, item number 2. Move on to item number 3, acceptance and approval of the minutes from the January 24th meeting. Do we have a motion from Secretary Sagaski, since you're the only one here?
Yes, Governor, I move that we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
We have a motion for approval. Any discussion? Hearing, seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 4, Director Daniels, comments and update.
Good morning, Governor Sisolak and Secretary Sagaski. For the record, my name is Charles Daniels, Director, Nevada Department of Corrections. The Nevada Department of Corrections remains committed to the health and safety of its employees, offenders, and volunteers. To begin with, I will address concerns regarding NDOC's revision to mail processing procedures covered in Administrative Regulation 750. Portions of the language used to contest proposed modifications is inaccurate. The agency is not banning offender mail. For instance, NDOC is not banning photographs, inmate advisory newsletters, verifiable publications, newspapers, or personal correspondence other than greeting cards. To the contrary, we are attempting to foster a safer environment by eliminating dangerous contraband being introduced through the mail. As long as the procedures are adhered to by the senders, each recipient will receive the allowable amount of mail outlined in the regulation. Modifications to AR 750 will result in more expedient mail processing and mitigate the amount of contraband entering our secure facilities. As a reminder, the Board of Prison Commissioners meeting announcements are posted in accordance with NRS 241. In the interest of time, NDOC will not present information related to medical, prison industries, human resources, and the Inspector General's office, although their division leadership is available to answer any questions. Governor, at this time, I will turn over the update to Bill Gitter, Deputy Director of Operations.
Thank you.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Bill Gitter, Deputy Director of Operations for NDOC. In this past quarter, our trend of net staffing losses continued. In the north, our average custody vacancy rate is nearly 2.5 times higher than the south. Extremely high levels of overtime made it prudent to move more offenders south, further modify staffing patterns, and further limit offender activities. In the south, we were able to overcome our vacancy rate with moderate to high levels of overtime and ran our institutions at mostly normal operations. Going forward, a concern is that we may not be able to safely stretch our staffing much farther without additional reductions in offender activities across the state. In addition, I would like to add some context to the comment regarding contraband mail. If we assume Vera's report to be accurate that only 1% of mail contains contraband, For NDOC, that means tens of thousands of pieces of mail per year enter our facilities. Regarding children's drawings, they can still be sent in as color photographs, which is allowed. Paragraph G of 750 refers to pamphlets, not copies of pages from websites sent in as part of a letter. This is still allowed as long as printed in black or blue on white paper. Governor, at this time, I will turn over the update to Brian Williams, Deputy Director of Programs. Brian?
Thank you. Good morning, Governor Sisolak and Secretary Sagaski. For the record, my name is Brian E. Williams, Sr., Deputy Director of Programs for the Nevada Department of Corrections. The Programs Division is pleased to announce that all programs are operational. However, due to critical staffing vacancies throughout the state, they are not fully functional. All other programs are fully functional and have been actively recruiting offenders, volunteers, and community providers to participate in the various programs offered within NDOC. The Program Division has also begun utilizing distant learning in the Educational Department and will soon offer similar classes in re-entry, which allow us to impact more offenders in both our major facilities and camps. In closing, we understand the challenges our department faces as we strive to ensure offenders have the necessary skills and abilities to achieve success upon their release. However, as we work towards bringing our mission to fruition, I would like to solicit the support of our legislators in providing the necessary resources and staff to accomplish that mission. With your help and support, NDOC and the state of Nevada will become a safer and more productive society for everyone. Lastly, comments were made as it relates to the internet inside our facilities. I would just like to announce that AR 143 will be submitted to the next BOP meeting, which will allow internet access inside of our facilities in addition to computer labs at each one of our facilities moving forward. Governor, at this time, I would like to turn the updates over to Deputy Director Lisa Lucas of Support Services. Lisa?
Good morning, Governor Sisolak and Secretary Sagaski. Excuse me. For the record, my name is Lisa Lucas, Deputy Director of Support Services for the department. This fall, we will begin working with the Office of Science, Innovation, and Technology on the Telehealth in Rural Nevada Project RFP. This project originated earlier this year. However, it was postponed in an effort to add more state agencies to the project, which resulted in better pricing for all involved. This completes my support services update, and if there are no questions, I will turn it back over to Director Daniels.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Governor Sisolak and Secretary of State Sagaski. For the record, my name is Ronald Oliver, Associate Warden from High Desert State Prison and Acting Assistant to the Director. I'm sitting in for Chris Franklin, who scheduled leave after publication of this agenda. Today, we present 10 administrative regulations for discussion and possible action. These administrative regulations have all been revised to update terminology and verbiage to meet community, state, and national standards. Beginning with Administrative Regulation 140.
Excuse me, I'm going to interrupt you for just a second. Are we not doing numbers 9, 10, and 11? Those updates, I'm fine with that, Director, but I want to follow the agenda. No?
No, Governor, we skipped over the others in the Director's opening comments you mentioned.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Go ahead on number 12. Thank you. AR 140.
Yes, sir. Administrative Regulation 140, Organization of Management Information System section. Next is Administrative Regulation 141, Information Technology Standards, Controls, and Security, Acceptable Uses of Information Technology.
Okay, one more. I got to stop you one more time. Secretary Sagaski, do you want to take these all together or one at a time?
We can, whichever one you want to do, Governor, is fine with me.
Okay, let's take them all together.
Continuing on, Administrative Regulation 421, Prison Rape Elimination Act. We made changes to this regulation made to clearly define the policy and custodial responsibility. Administrative Regulation 509, protective housing. These changes were made to expand the parameters of protective custody classification. Administrative Regulation 521, custody categories and criteria. The verbiage was changed to align with current NRS 209 as well as US DOJ ADA language. Administrative Regulation 568, offender review of departmental records. The change prevents offenders from retaining or receiving a copy of their pre-sentence investigation report to ensure privacy and safety while incarcerated. Administrative Regulation 606, use of offender workers in healthcare. The changes were added to clarify verbiage within this regulation. Administrative Regulation 645, suicide prevention. Changes were made to detail the NDOC's suicide prevention procedure during incarceration and upon release. Administrative Regulation 658, reasonable accommodation for offenders with disabilities. The verbiage was changed to clarify exclusion to physical and mental impairment definition. Administrative Regulation 750, offender general correspondence and mail. The changes were made to eliminate illicit contraband entering facilities through the mail. Governor, this concludes our administrative regulation reviews for today's meeting, and I would like to turn things back over to Director Daniels. Thank you.
Go ahead, Director.
Governor, this is Barbara Zagowski.
Secretary Sagaski, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to see if there's anything excluded. You had said 9, 10, and 11. Was that just an error? I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
No, those were not going to be heard, those updates. Those are just information items only, 9, 10, and 11.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then that would go for 5, 6, 7, and 8, correct? Because those are for discussion only.
Those are all discussion only, correct, all of the updates. The director lists them
Okay,
one at a
all right.
time. After the director's comments number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 are all different departmental updates.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that, and see what we're voting on.
Sure.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Director Daniels.
Governor, that concludes our agenda items for this meeting. So I will turn the program back to you.
Okay. Secretary Sagaski, do you have any comments on any of these regulations?
I guess the one that, and my staff and I went over these. My staff really did with a fine-tooth comb, so I know of all of these. I think there's a little bit of a disconnect with the AR 750 from the public to what is going on in the prison. So maybe AR 750 needs to be discussed a little bit more.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I guess I'm going to go to Director Daniels for this one. Director, I have read dozens of letters, email comments, and listened to numerous individuals, family members who made sacrifices to get here today and to make their comments. And I'm not quite understanding for my own benefit why black or blue ink is okay, but red or green ink is not okay, I guess. I don't know if you can smuggle drugs with red and green, but you can't with black and blue. I don't understand that. And I don't understand the kids' pictures. If a kid draws a picture on a 7x5 piece of paper, how that's not okay, but can somebody explain some of this to me? I mean, and also I want to know, is there any evidence in any other jurisdictions that this actually works? That this can, I understand the problem with getting drugs into the prisons, and we certainly want to eliminate any contraband coming into prisons as much as possible. But that being said, have we shown any area where this is actually effective in achieving that goal?
Governor, this is Deputy Director Bill Gitter for the record. Firstly, the questions about color. The incidence of subjects attempting to introduce narcotics into the prison system through the mail is regularly carried out by hiding those substances in colored objects, colored photos, hand-done greeting cards. Anything that has a lot of color to it is helpful in hiding the stains that contain the either methamphetamine, fentanyl, or other illicit drug that they're trying to smuggle into the prison system. So the more colors we can eliminate, the more readily we can see the contaminated pieces of mail and protect our staff from handling those pieces and protect the inmates from obtaining those pieces and then either selling or utilizing those drugs and then becoming affected, either causing disturbances or ending up in the emergency room. As I said,
Governor,
the
can I
incidents.
ask a question?
Yeah, sure, Secretary Sagaski, go ahead.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you were done. I apologize, sir. I just am trying to understand this because my granddaughters, who are 8 years old, love to draw a picture on the envelope. And so are you telling? And so I don't know about all of this going on in the prisons, that they're smuggling drugs in through paper, and I'm sure there's some people that are. And I'm just trying to think of the children drawing pictures on an envelope. If they can use just a red or a black ink, a black or a blue ink pen instead of color crayons, or can they use color crayons? Or you don't want them doing this at all because they are covering up the drugs on the outside of the envelope? I just wanted some clarification. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Secretary Sagaski. This is Bill Gitter again for the record. Unfortunately, the bad actors in the group know the weak spots. And if they mimic a child's drawing on a colored drawing on an envelope or on any other piece of mail, they know we're more apt to let it pass and not look at it too hard. But we know from experience that they manipulate that. They count on that, they have done that, and we need to eliminate that. Color photographs are still permissible because they're not actually written out and applied to the paper that could hide the drugs. So taking a photograph of the child's drawing and sending that in is still permissible under the AR. That gives the families the ability to get them in, but takes away the risk of introducing narcotic by those bad actors that are utilizing that avenue for their own benefit.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, Bill, the information. And that's what I think the people that have talked against this didn't understand or didn't look at it, because we have to do something about illegal drugs being brought into the prisons. And I know that there is talk about, the prison or the prison themselves bringing stuff in, the guards. But if this is another way that we can eliminate the usage, I think we need to do that. And I didn't know about that, but you're saying photographs are okay. But there are some bad photographs, from what I've read on this as well.
Yes, this is Bill Gitter again for the record. There are some photographs which we prohibit, those that depict nudity, sexual activity, contextual problems like showing gang signs or promoting gang activities, or pictures of criminal activities. So contextually, those are prohibited. Governor, I would add that I've been in contact with many deputy directors and directors across the U.S. I recently attended a conference and spoke to many of them about mail procedures. Incrementally, we will make a difference and decrease the amount of contraband coming in through our mail with these mid-term procedures. We could go to fully electronic mail, which would shut down that route altogether, but that's very restrictive and we're not able to do that. Perhaps we could consider that in the future. If we bring the tablets online, for example, color photographs are not a problem on the electronic tablet, so that would make it easier for families to send in photographs. But other than going fully electronic, there's no option not to push back and try to protect our staff and offenders from the illicit drugs coming into our facilities. It just happens, and we need to do something constructive about it. This may not be a perfect solution, but it is a good solution and will make a big difference. Director?
Yes, this is Director Daniels for the record. Just a little bit more background. Introduction of contraband to include narcotics primarily enters our facilities in 3 ways. Number 1, through the mailroom. Number 2, through the visiting room. And number 3, through compromised staff. We have procedures that address each one of these methods of introducing contraband. But at the end of the day, we can't do nothing because some gets through. We have to improve. We have to evolve. And the good thing, though, about this is in all of our conversation, we have not even remotely discussed eliminating mail to any extent possible. On August 8, we met with the ACLU as well as Return Strong in my conference room. At least my team was there, and we had this discussion. Mail is something that I want. The agency wants the offenders to receive. It does build those connections. It is wonderful. We love seeing the mail come through, but we still have to defend against, unfortunately, the unauthorized access of contraband, and most specifically, weapons, and most specifically, tools of being able to get out of some handcuffs or other restraints. But more importantly, we have to mitigate the amount of drugs that come in. Most of the drugs, just for an educational purposes, that come in 2 ways. Very small quantities in a rock form or powder form, but a lot, and the majority that are coming in, are liquefied. Once they're liquefied, then they're soaked in paper. The colored paper will mask the stains if it's all one color. They can just soak it in it. But the white envelopes, it's very difficult to do it with. And it's very obvious to us that we have a stained envelope, and then we could pursue looking at it further. But once again, I'm hearing a lot about we are attempting to prevent the offenders from getting their mail or getting information from their daughters. For everything that we put in, we've come up with another way around it, and you can still have the same thing. And yes, we do value those relationships, just like we value visitation. But we also have concerns in our visitation room. So this is a holistic approach. We did have this discussion, myself, Deputy Director Gitter, and the majority, quite frankly, of my executive team, as we met with Return Strong, as well as the ACLU. I'd be more than willing to have further conversation. Maybe it's education, who knows? But I'll tell you what, this is a serious situation. Narcotics coming through our mailroom, and we can't turn a blind eye to it because we don't catch it all. It's no different than people coming into the visiting room with narcotics. We don't catch them all. We have staff that, for whatever reason, have decided they no longer want to abide by the law, and they get through for some time as well. We have to always continuously attempt to find our breaches to our security and improve the vast safety of all the offenders. There's nothing worse than an offender that's under the influence of a narcotic who then decides that he wants to harm other offenders as well as staff. And we must do a job. And it's a hard job, and it's unpleasant. But these are very, very minor mitigating circumstances for us to be able to do better, but not perfect. We're not arguing against the perfect. It's good, and it's better than what we had.
Well, I appreciate your comments, Director, and what you're saying, and I agree. We need to support our workers at the facilities and protect the inmates that are there against the unfortunate actions by a few. I just question if this policy is going to achieve that goal. I'll be honest with you. I'm really, and Secretary, so you know, I'm fine with the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 regulations moving forward. There's only 2 of us here today, so we both have to agree to move an item forward. I am concerned that I've seen a lot of people that have made sacrifices. As they said, they took time off work to get here, vacation, and drove hours. And my heart really goes out to the kids that are drawing pictures and sending it to their father or their grandfather or their mother. And that wouldn't be allowed anymore. Now, I know you're coming up with, they could do certain things, take pictures, whatnot, and so forth. And I don't think that's quite the same as having a kid draw a little cartoon on an envelope or something, or a little smiley face or whatever it might be. And I have focused, as has my administration, on mental health in all of our, whether it's our facilities, our schools, our communities, our state. And I think that this could have a negative mental health aspect to it. So I guess what I'm saying, Director, is I cannot support AR 750 at this time. I would appreciate it if you would continue to have dialogue with the ACLU, Return Strong, and anybody else that might be interested in participating in this. I'm not saying no, not ever, but I'm just not totally understanding some of the rationale behind this, and I question if it's even going to work. So at this time, Secretary, I can support the other 9 regulations. I cannot support moving ahead with AR 750. Maybe when we have General Ford back, it would be viewed differently, but if you'd like to make a motion with a hold on 750, I'd be happy to entertain that.
Well, Governor, I don't necessarily agree totally with you. I think we need to listen to the director and his staff. I know that there's issues there, but I do not think that it would harm us to wait one more scheduled meeting with the 3 of us here to put our minds together on this. But I do think that there's some work that needs to be done in talking to the people that have testified today. And so with that, I will grant that we put this off until the next meeting. But I have to tell you that I am concerned for the safety not only of the inmates, the people that sort the mail, if there are people that are imitating the children. We see scams all the time. So this would not surprise me that that's happening that way as well. So I'm okay, and I'll go along with you for the others to okay those. And then, Director, I agree with the Governor that we would extend AR 750 to the next meeting, just so you have more time to talk to the others that were here today and see if you can all come up with a resolution, because I really think this is very, very important, and I think it's an issue that that we need to take hold of and that we need to have some foresight on, because it is a problem. We do have some not good players. So, Governor, I'll go ahead and make the motion to indicate that the specification of the ones that you named, with the exception of AR 750, all be approved.
Okay, and I appreciate your accommodating that, because like I say, I couldn't have supported 750. But Director, if you would meet with the various groups involved, I'd like to know if there's a less invasive or egregious method to do this, whether that's a drug sniffing dog or something to get these out. I mean, and I understand there's people going to break the rules. I totally get that. But for the 2 or 3 that might break the rules, I hate to see thousands not be able to get a picture from their kids. You know, and I'm just as concerned as you are about our employees and our inmates, but I'm also concerned about the well-being and the mental health of these children that, you know, that want to write and draw a little picture for their mom or their dad or their aunt or uncle, whoever it might be. So if you would continue the dialogue on that, Director, and to bring that back, we have a motion on the floor for the approval of administrative regulations number 140, 141, 421, 509, 521, 568, 606, 645, and 658, and we are holding on Administrative Regulation 750. Any discussion, Secretary?
No, that'll do it. And thank you for going over those numbers again, so that we have it clear.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, that concludes the administrative regulations. That brings us to the second public comment section. Anyone wishing to address the board on any item under this board's purview, please step forward, identify yourself for the record, and comments be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have anybody, I'll start in Las Vegas this time. Do we have anybody in Las Vegas wishing to make a public comment?
Yes, Governor, we have someone stepping up now.
Morning, Board, Governor, Secretary. My name is David Tolliver, and I could be considered a friend and family of an incarcerated person as of about 5 months ago. However, I'm also a military veteran, Henderson PD retiree, ending as a lieutenant of 10 years in the Corrections Division and a 27-year career. And I've completed and been through an incredible program through the National Institute of Corrections as the Executive Excellence Program. And I'm still holding on to my certified jail manager through American Jail Association, but it will eventually expire because I'm no longer an LEO. So my mission today is simple. In 3 minutes, I did send an email to the board so that it could have the details and the exactness of my issues that I brought up, but it has 4 elements. 1, visitation. The visitation computer program, as noted in my email and my letter with details, is 100% horribly misrepresenting the available visitation appointments. So, for example, as of last night, they're still offering an 11 o'clock visitation when there's no such thing as an 11 o'clock. And as you see my letter that I have submitted, it goes into further detail. I've now visited 5 times, 1 day a week. Extremely angry visitors. But on the flip side, the officers are kind of getting frustrated because they're kind of trying to explain something outside of their purview of IT issues and computer programming and sites. So obviously the inmates are going to suffer from that because I've seen and witnessed people be turned away because they thought they had a visit and they didn't, or they signed up for something that wasn't real. So my next point to discuss is the vetting of visitors. And I will go specific. My fiance wrote a bad check in 2004, and therefore she's a felon, but never reported on a week or a yearly basis where she lives. She wasn't arrested, but for that one charge in 2004, writing a bad check, I'm trying to find out how that is jeopardizing the safety and security of the facility, the inmates, the officers doing bad things, etc. When in fact, her imprint in society from 2004 until today is very well thought out in the letter that I submitted in my email. Third, follow-up. All I can ask for as a lieutenant myself, retired, follow-up is tough. When you have a litany of things that are brought to your attention from the mayor, from the chief, etc. All I ask is that we raise the bar as best we can on follow-up because 5 weeks ago is when I brought it up. I've sent an email. We have faxed information. And if it wasn't for my incidental conversation with Associate Warden Bean, I would have basically felt that I got 0 feedback and no one cares. But that's what is not the facts. I get it, but that's the perception that one can get.
You've reached 3 minutes.
My last point would be that the office staff, you have one end, incredibly helpful, and you have one that's horrible and dismissive, and that's Karen in one of the offices. I do want to leave one comment last.
I'm sorry, I don't want to get into personnel issues. They're
Yeah,
not here to defend themselves, so.
Okay, so
Give
my
me 3 minutes.
one closing comment.
10 seconds, go ahead.
Okay. Lack of information, incorrect information can often render horrible decisions or limited results decisions.
Okay.
Even to great decisions. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you for information.
Yeah.
Anyone else in Las Vegas wishing to speak during public comment?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Governor Sisolak, we just would, this is Jody Hocking from Return Strong. We would like to just ask, in this process and discussion of AR 750 and those revisions, there's 2 things. One, that was actually implemented in some facilities prior to having your approval. And so there are families who have been getting mail sent back already, some of them sitting in your room, some of them sitting here, that we weren't even notified of the change yet and spent money on cards and mail and they all got sent back. So we just want to make sure that while that's on hold, that the policy, that mail isn't being returned to people. And then the other thing is we would ask for data. Who are not who are the bad players, but what percentage? We can look up what happened in New Mexico. They tell you how many pieces of mail were scanned, how many pieces were contaminated, and then after they implemented the change, what that actually ended up. have like become a groupie of Victoria Gonzalez and like looking at what the data really is. So more than just coming to a meeting and saying there are bad players, it's prison. Of course there are bad players, but what is the percentage of that bad players in order to justify these changes or going to electronic or whatever's going to happen?
Thank you. And
Thank
Director Daniels, if you could have your team talk to my staff or my legal about mail getting sent back already before the regulations in place, I'd sure appreciate it.
Absolutely, Governor. I will address that with my team. Did you have something to add, Deputy Director Gitter?
Not on that,
Okay.
sir.
Governor, this is Barbara Sagaski. When you're done with the public comment, I'd like to make a comment. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mercedes Maharis, Nevada chaplain and silver-haired legislative forum, Senate District 3. I did not get to say anything about the AR 645 on suicides, but I did put in my extensive report the data on suicides that we have that has virtually stopped, and I would like for us to be totally transparent so that we know who is really dying and why. 645 suicide prevention. Can we please have 988 crisis lines in each facility? I don't know what the suicide prevention is because it wasn't put on the internet and I didn't have the time. We have to send in a public information form now to get what the supporting materials are for these meetings, and so it's not there. But if 988 is for everybody else in Nevada, and we don't have crisis lines, and we certainly are unable to staff now with mental health in prisons, isn't that discrimination? So we need the 988 crisis lines as part of the 645 suicide prevention. Please make that a reality. It's not a difficult thing to do. As to the people dying, I have put here photos. Photos are worth 1,000 words, you know. And I have put a little memory group of photos for those who have died, and I hope that you will look at their faces. Many are young now. From 1905 to 2000, we only had 49 suicides in our system, only 49. It's spiking now. In 2 years, and NDOC, Public Information, has not sent us our request for update of all suicides between 2000, 2007. I did have some numbers there, but it's spiking, and it's young people, unfortunately, Governor, young people in their 30s, in their taking your own life and saying that you'd rather be dead than spend another day in prison is inhumane. So please look at their faces. These are the ones in the last 2 years. So I believe it's around 13, but did you know that there's no central repository now?
You've reached 3 minutes.
For information about the suicides. We have to call each county to the coroner. Please make a repository for all suicides.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have anyone else for public comment in Las Vegas?
No, Governor, no one's stepping forward.
Okay, do we have anybody in Carson City for public comment? Seeing no one. We are, going to close public comment. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Wait, Governor.
I'm sorry,
Barbara,
we're not
I wanted
adjourned.
to-
Oh, whoa, Secretary, I apologize. My mind
you.
slipped. I apologize. Secretary Sagaski.
And I know that they're having staff issues at the prison, as we all are in all the agencies around the state. But we need to get the material before the day of or the day before the meeting, and also the lack of division reports need to be done. And again, I understand and know about the staffing issues. If you need to let us know and be aware of that, that's fine. We're having issues at the Secretary of State's office as well for lack of people. But we really, really need to get the material before. So if any of you listening online send in material, just the day of or the day before doesn't give us enough time to review everything that you send in. So thank you very much. I appreciate you letting me make those comments, Governor.
I agree, and sorry I slipped up there. I apologize, but we could get it sooner. That'd be great. Anybody else?
All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.